Hey there, welcome to Equipped. This isn't a full-blown episode. In the teaching I did on Joel chapter 1 verses 8 through 10, I said that I don't agree with the way the NIV translates verse 10, and I wanted to do this short video to explain why it is that I don't agree with the NIV's translation. So let's take a look right here. Here we have the Hebrew text, and the Hebrew, of course, is read from right to left. And over here we have the ESV and the NIV. And for me, at least for verse 10, I prefer the ESV's translation of verse 10. Let me explain to you why. The NIV translates right here, the ground is dried up. And they're translating this phrase right here. This word, avla, typically means mourns, like the ESV has translated. But the NIV has translated it dried up. I don't agree with that translation. Technically speaking, it's not incorrect. There are times and contexts in which that word, avla, can be translated dried up. I don't think this is one of those cases. This word right here is the word ground. Now, the issue I have is that the NIV has omitted a word in their translation. It's a small word, but in my opinion, it's a pretty significant word. And it's this word right here, the word right after ground. It's the word key. That's a conjunction. And so this word is translated because, or on account of, or as a result of, something to that effect. And you'll see that the ESV did translate this word right here. And I think that's the correct way to do it. Because here's how it reads in the ESV. The fields are destroyed, the ground mourns because the grain is destroyed, the wine dries up, and the oil languishes. I think that is a better translation. To me, it's more in keeping not only with the word, the grammatical and the syntactical arrangement of the Hebrew, but the poetic sense that the prophet Joel, I think, is trying to convey. Now, here's what I mean. We're looking at verse 10, right? The field are destroyed, the ground mourns. The reason the ground mourns is because the grain is destroyed, the wine dries up, and the oil languishes. Now, here's how I understand this, okay? I want you to picture, let's say, a carpenter. And a carpenter creates, let's say they create a chair, beautiful chair out of the best wood that the carpenter can find. He creates this chair, and he puts this chair out on display or gives it to somebody. And then somebody comes with a hammer and just smashes that chair to smithereens. Well, that carpenter is going to mourn, right? Because the thing that he produced was completely obliterated. And I think the prophet poetically is trying to convey that same idea. This is symbolic. This is poetic language. This is metaphorical language that the prophet is saying. The ground is mourning. Why? Because what it produced, what verse 10 says, the grain, the wine, and the oil, what the ground has produced, the locust invasion completely destroyed. That which the ground produced, which came out of the ground, again, metaphorically speaking, I'm not saying that the ground is a creator God, nothing to that, but metaphorically, poetically speaking, what came out of the ground, what the ground produced has been obliterated. And the same way that a carpenter would feel devastated when his creation is smashed to smithereens, the ground mourns when its creation is also destroyed by this locust invasion. To me, that is beautiful poetic imagery that the prophet Joel employs to explain the extent of the devastation that this locust invasion had caused on the people of Israel, or the people of Judah. So that's why I take issue with the NIV in their translation, because while technically it's not incorrect, they did omit a word that I think is an important word, even though it's a conjunction, a small conjunction. I think it's an important word, and I think they missed the opportunity to convey poetic, beautiful, poetic, metaphorical language that the prophet Joel is using to paint this picture of utter devastation. Not only are the priests mourning, not only are the drunkards mourning, not only are the farmers mourning, but the ground itself feels the impact of this devastation, and the ground mourns as a result of this locust invasion. So that's my explanation on why I think the NIV, in my opinion, now I'll grant this, That's a committee of scholars who know far more than I do on translating Hebrew texts. But I think in this case, the ESV has it better. And as I dug into it, I see why the ESV translated that verse the way they did. I don't know why the NIV did it that way. I don't agree with that. But that's my explanation behind that. So, hey, continue on with these teachings on the book of the prophet Joel. And if you haven't done so yet, consider subscribing. Thank you so much for joining me. God bless.